Hi everyone, hope you are all safe and well. Now we're on day 2 of the deluge. We've had a real bad downpour. Yesterday was really quite bad, localised flooding. I know lots of people have experienced it all over the world. But yeah, just want to talk about and show you what happened here yesterday. Let's go in the cottage and I'll show you what happened in there. Now it has started to dry out. Let's get some lights on. Okay, yeah, I came in here yesterday, it has started to dry out. There you can see we had quite a lot of water come through here. Yeah, I wasn't here at the time, I was out, but judging on the silt that's washed through, it was quite a lot. Now I must explain that the system that I've gone with the lime and the flooring system, can handle this kind of ingress of water. Now the tomats that I've laid here, they breathe. That's laid on lime, that breathes, and that's sitting on a clean bed of granite chippings. Now there's a membrane between the clay and the granite chippings, so the clay is always separate from the granite, doesn't clog it up, so that still works. So this is naturally drying out. And the same goes in this area. There will be a permeable membrane over the top of this, then there'll be the chippings, and then that will be a good base for the lime and then the terracotta, all of which will allow all this moisture to evaporate out. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick look round the back because I still haven't had a chance. We've had some issues in our cottage as well with the leaks. It really was some downpour. I just want to have a look round the back and see what's going around there. All of these roofs, the gutters were overwhelmed, you know, it was coming off like sheet glass. It would have hit the ground there. This was probably a couple of feet deep, and eventually it permeated down below a protective membrane and found its natural way through the cottage. So no real harm done. We just didn't need that much rain in one go. I designed this area here for several reasons. We needed a natural wildlife pond, which we've got, but also the amount of rainwater that we get off of all those roofs comes pouring down here. What we didn't want is it to overwhelm our water treatment area. So the pond acts as like a reservoir, holds back, fills up, and then flows down into the dell, which also takes up a huge volume of water, and that protects all of our water systems. There are lots of ways of managing water runoff. A little while ago I did look into the swale, what they call a swale system, which basically is levelling off some ground. So it holds the water and then it permeates through it, stops it running off rather fast. So I kind of use those methods in the design around the pond and it seems to be working. Right, let's get back to work. These ancient properties, how they're constructed, why they're constructed the way they are. Sometimes when you start making modern additions and alterations to them, you can sometimes make the matter worse with its moisture. There was a phase in probably the 60s, 70s here where lots of houses were being pointed with cement products and the walls were being rendered. They just don't breathe. You know, if the moisture comes in, which it has, it needs to come out, which it can. Now we're just leaving it slightly below the top of this because there will be another bed going on once we set our timber in, as explained in the previous video. Also like to say a big thank you to Duncan Loriana and Diana for purchasing some merchandise from my website shop. Welcome to SeansWorld.com, link in the description. Yeah, all proceeds from that helps fund the project, helps buy materials, as does Patreon, and buy me a coffee. Without you, I wouldn't have got this far. Doing this out as a bench, as you can see it's got moisture in there. Admittedly I have been damping down the area and we had the flood. What I'm going to do is counter batten it so timber can go across the face there, and then that way it'll be a bit more robust when we're sitting there. The ground level will be coming up because we've got the flooring to go down. There is a slight ledge there, maybe I'll put timber through there if this works out to be too high. I don't think it will be, but if need be I can run another timber across there just to put your feet on. It gives us enough space behind to angle back support so it's nice and comfortable, and at the same time still being able to shelf out above because the wall does taper back quite a bit. And thank you everyone for your kind comments and suggestions. I'll try my best to work my way through them. Sometimes it takes me a few days, but I do get there. Okay, now that that's all nicely filled up to the top, we can let that go off, which means set. We'll move on to something else now. What I plan to do, start factoring in electricity. So this hasn't cost me a lot at all. So I'm going to get that up on the board, and then yeah, I'm going to start planning in the wiring as well. Now I've already got our backing board up. For our fuse board, we're going to sight that there. Not going to be much in the way of electrical drawing here, if you like. I think the biggest thing will be the water heater. Going to have a gas bottled cooker, oven, hob. The heating will all be done from the wood burners. So basically light sockets, no real power draw at all, no washing machine in here. Now electrics are something that I don't meddle in. I understand it, and I think as far as electrics goes, a little knowledge can be dangerous, so I'll do the basics, you know, get all the hard wiring done in. Electrician will come in, make the ends off, test everything. what I do know is everything, as far as electricians are concerned, has to be dead level. Yeah, you definitely need one of these. The house might be crooked, but the electrics will be spot on. Also got to put an earth rod outside, vitally important. And then underneath the stairs there'll be an area where I can put my EcoFlow and the smaller one, need be. So a nice storage area there. That'll be concealed. Now start running all my cables from this point. Feels like progress. Now this is the plastic conduit that you have to install with your cables. It's to protect it from various elements like rodents and that gnawing the cables. So we run this through. It's got a wire, a draw wire inside, so you can pull your cables through. Or you can actually buy this already with the cables in there. Be nice to come in here and just switch on the lights. This is just some other stuff that I've got from the Vid Greniers. Now I wouldn't normally advocate to buy second-hand electrical stuff, but you know, this is still in its wrapper. You know, people finish projects, they have materials left over, and they just move them on. So, you know, no brainer. Save a lot of money going to these sales and buying, you know, other people's finished stuff. So we've got that. We've got the breakers in there, still in the wrapper. That was €1. They could be €10 upwards each. That'll all be tested by the electrician. Simple stuff like plumbing, you know, never been used. Flexes, and they was like €1 for 2. So whenever I see this material at a Vid Grenier, I just buy it. And then when it comes to actually doing the job, I've pretty much got all of it. I may have to top it up with a few specialist pieces, but certainly keeps the cost down. That's, you know, a bit of good advice, I think, if you're doing a renovation, because nowadays it costs a fortune. I'm not lying. Well, you know yourself, everything's gone through the roof, literally, including building materials. And this was something else that I bought at a separate sale, you know, directly above my head. So up there, the wheel would have been attached to a bracket that sticks out, and just a simple pulley system, and they would have just hauled up their sacks of grain and stored at the top of the barn. So I like to use all these authentic pieces, because once the roof's done and everything, we'll have all these bits on show. I mean, this was not expensive, but I like to pay the going rate, which was €30 for this, but you don't see them too often, to be honest with you. You see sort of newer ones which don't really fit the period. I've also got an authentic bracket that I purchased as well. It will be nice to start putting these period elements back. I've got a light as well, so I'll show you the light. And this is just one of many, but these are original, sort of 1920s. There would have been a row of these sort of dotted along the fronts of the cottages. So when I see these, I'll collect them, I'll buy them, because they're getting very hard to find as well, especially with the glass intact. Doesn't bother me that it's worn, you know, it's part of its charm to me. So much stuff. So I think in the coming videos we're going to make a start on this area, start getting the terracotta tiles down, a nice level surface, and I can start building up from there, framing it all out, and yeah, just getting the sort of the bones of the kitchen in, put all my cables through. Yeah, it'd be nice just to stand on something flat and level for a change. One sink. We've got the one enamel sink there. The other one's going to be utilised outside. I've already got a nice big oak worktop to go in here as well. Yeah. got a lot of the materials that I've gathered over the years. Yeah. Ground is still wet. That's okay. Once we get the lime down, that'll pull the moisture out. Okay, I think that's enough for today's video. I'm going to get prepared and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.